my first my first performance was I played the Sheriff of Nottingham in Primary One. Oh no, I think that before that, when I was 4, I played David in David and Goliath at the church, and the minister there, a man called Sandy Tate, knew that I was destined for good things because he went out the room to do something, and when he came back he said I was practicing my lines on my own, and I was just in the church on my own, but I was practicing and rehearsing on my own, and he thought that showed, you know, that I was really serious about it at the age of 4. And then I played the Sheriff of Nottingham because I was the only person who could say the Sheriff of Nottingham, and so I got that part. It was a good casting, and that's when I was in Primary One when I was 5. So I remember doing little school plays there, and then later on, my performance was much more a musical thing for me, or poetry or something. There was a time where I didn't really do plays. I didn't really want to. At school, I was so serious about becoming an actor that I was quite arrogant about it, and I didn't really want to be in them at school because I thought I want to wait till I do it properly. However, I remember playing in a Molière play called Sganarelle, and I played Sganarelle in that, and that was good because we rehearsed after school, and it was full costume and you know, little stick-on moustaches and long wigs and stuff. So it was kind of foppish and fun. But most of my performance would be music. I played the French horn. I was in the pipe band. I was a side drummer in the pipe band, and I would do, you know, poetry readings at musical evenings. And because I was so into music at school, it's the thing that I was the strongest at. I wasn't very academic. My schoolwork was okay, but it wasn't brilliant. And where I was interested, I was most interested in art and music, and not very good at anything else really. So school became that for me, you know, to the point where I wasn't then allowed to do both. There came a point when you're 13 or 14 when you have to choose your subjects, and they wouldn't let me do art and music because they thought I was copping out, they said. And it was purely that was what I was really interested in, so it was a shame. I think my first memories of theatre were going to things like the pantomime, and it would have been the pantomime at Perth Rep Theatre, and that would have been my first experience of theatre. And then shortly after that, I saw my uncle Dennis Lawson, in a couple of plays when I was quite young. I think we came to London and saw him playing in the Half Moon Theatre and some things like that. Those would be my next memories of it.
Does anything stand out about that? I don't know, like arrival, the curtain call, or...
Yeah, I mean, I remember always, I always remember kind of falling in love with someone on the stage from being really wee, you know. I remember it would be one of the dancers in the pantomime or something, and I'd find that I'd be totally in love with her by the end of the show.
Do you think that kind of...
Dream about her for weeks and weeks afterwards,
really?
You know. Yeah, really, seriously. And then, but I remember going on stage somewhere after seeing Jack and the Beanstalk when I was really wee, and seeing the big boots. You know, they had these giant boots at some point for the giant, and seeing that and realizing that, you know, it's that was an interesting moment from seeing the magic of it to then seeing the reality of it, how it works. But as a child, it doesn't detract from it. I still found it really magical.
Did you know at that stage that was something you'd want to do, or was that something that happened later?
I was 9 when I absolutely knew I was going to be an actor, and before that I probably wanted to be, just because my uncle, I think, because he was so diverse and interesting, and not like any of the people that I grew up with. I came from quite a small town in Scotland, and a kind of farming community, I suppose, and my uncle would come back up from London and just be completely different from everyone else. So I suppose initially I just wanted to be like him, and then I by 9, you know, I was obsessed with like old movies and black and white films from Hollywood or Britain, and wanted to be an actor completely.
Was it as much about the fact that he was different, it was his personality that you'd met and you thought, I don't have to be like everyone else, or was it the idea of performing?
Well, I think probably initially, I don't know, because it's difficult to remember exactly what came first, but I'm sure it was about, you know, this kind of mystique that surrounded my uncle, and when people seemed to treat him differently, or there was something special about him that I couldn't put my finger on then because I was too young, but certainly, you know, when people would, there was something very different about him, and I liked that. I was attracted to that.
Did you come across theatre in school at all, or drama in school?
No, I don't think so. I went to a school called Morrison's Academy in Crieff, and I went there from the age of 5 right through to when I left when I was 16, and I don't. We were taken to see theatre. We were taken to see with music mainly. I seem to remember going to see things like Gilbert and Sullivan operettas, or once we were taken to Stirling. What's the centre called in Stirling? The McRobert Centre, and we went to see I think The Marriage of Figaro in the McRobert Centre. So I seem to remember being taken to see more kind of musical-based theatre things, which I suppose you are as children. You're less likely to go and see serious, you know, plays until you're a bit older, I guess. But those would be my early memories at school. I don't remember anyone coming into the school. I don't remember seeing like a touring company or seeing actors come to do a play at the school. No.
What was the sort of first time when you saw a play and it kind of really hit you, the sort of power of it?
I mean, the first really powerful experience I had in the theatre was when I was 16, and I'd left school and I was working at Perth Repertory Theatre. I got a job there helping put the sets up and take the sets down, and I was part of the stage crew. I'd move furniture on and off of the stage during blackouts or when the lights are down, and occasionally they'd give me a little kind of walk-on part, you know, or a little extra, if you like, an extra part. And there was 2 young, they're called acting ASMs, actors who are usually in their first year out of drama school, or maybe it's their first job in the theatre, and they have to do a certain amount of stage management work backstage, and they get to play, you know, from smaller parts on in the main house, and sometimes big parts in the studio theatre if the theatre has one. And at Perth Repertory Theatre, they just opened the studio theatre, and the 2 of the acting ASMs who I was working with, and I felt kind of, you know, they were older than I was and they'd trained as actors, but I was working with them on a daily basis, and I watched 2 of them playing in The Caretaker, in Pinter's play The Caretaker, and I think it was the combination of knowing them and then watching them do this incredible play. I mean, it was the first time I'd seen the play, and it is an extraordinary piece of writing, and I was completely changed by it. I remember my mum took me, and afterwards we were coming out and she was saying, "Did you like it?" And I couldn't speak. I was so kind of elevated by it. I couldn't speak to her. I just was so moved by it. It was beautiful, and I remember huge parts of it. You know, because sometimes a play you've seen many years ago, you remember the feeling of it, but you don't remember the moments in it. But I can still remember. There's a great speech that Ashton, the character Ashton, has in it, played by Kenny Glennan, and I remember it was the room is lit, and then during the space of this one maybe 2-3 minute long speech, where he's talking about having been in a mental institution and that they fried his brain, and as they're talking about it, the lights just went down until the whole stage was dark except for this tight spot of light around his face, and it was so slow that you didn't notice it. So suddenly it was just all dark, and you were so focused in on what he was saying. It was an amazing moment of theatre, and I remember lots of bits. It was Kenny Glennan, and Liam Brennan was the other actor who I was working with at the time.